Hey, Paul. How are you?
We are well.
All right. I want to first say I've been out here since 1985, and I remember you. When I first moved to Colorado, I'm an old-time Auburn fan and had to subscribe to the Post-Herald.
You poor thing.
So I could get the paper out here back in the old days.
Well, thank you.
The reason I'm calling you is I'm a physician, and I want to give the source of this information first to get it out there. I follow a guy on MedCram on YouTube who's an infectious disease doctor, or at least he's not infectious disease. He's a critical care doctor that takes care of people with COVID in California, and he puts out updates weekly, and I just watched his update number 98. And the topic had to do with COVID testing. And what he had to say about it was that the test we're using currently is very, very sensitive. It picks up very low viral loads, and it takes about 3 to 9 days usually to get a turnover of whether, when you get your results. And they have another test that's produced by Abbott ID, which is a spit test, and isn't as sensitive. That is, it isn't as good at picking up low viral loads as the other test that's used. But it's much cheaper. It only costs about $1, and you get turnover in about 10 minutes. That is, you could test at home and get results immediately. And it's not as sensitive because it doesn't pick up low viral loads. But really low viral loads are not infectious to other people. And they've proven that with some studies looking at people that are convalescent in Korea. We know that low viral loads don't transmit disease. At any rate, and this talk had to do with suggesting that as far as opening up schools, for instance, people could test at home for $1 a day or test every 2 or 3 days. And you can pick people up once they're infectious with this test, once the viral loads get high enough to transmit the disease to somebody else, and then you can keep them home. And this also potentially would make it possible, like for college football. You could test people while they're waiting in line to enter a stadium, or they could test at home, and you can test the players. And it's cheap enough that it can be done, you could do it 15 days a month, and if it only costs $15. So I wanted to share this information out there somewhere because it makes a big deal for football, but even more so for things like maybe getting schools back open. And what we've done is tied into a very expensive test that is super duper sensitive, but your turnover is so slow that by the time you get the results, if you have the disease, you're already clinically sick, and you've already been exposing other people before you get your results. Whereas if we have a test that's less sensitive but cheaper, you can test more often and do a better job both in opening up our society and opening up our schools, but also opening up things like college football, which I care about too.
Hugh, let me jump in here for a second because unfortunately we have this contraption that just cuts you off in a couple of seconds. First of all, thank you for what you said about the early days of my career, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I would like to hear more about it if time permits in the future. Thank you, and be well. We're up against the hour, the top of the hour here. We have to stop, and we will. We'll be right back.
There are people who say things aren't made here anymore. Those people should make a trip to Michigan, or Kentucky, or Illinois, where you'll find our workers and dealers and engineers and technicians building at the Ford Motor Company, the same way we have for over a century, in the same place, for the same reason. Built for America.
Hitting the road this summer? Do what truck drivers do. Bring plenty of 5-Hour Energy. You'll get the alert, energized feeling you need to get where you're going and do everything you want to do when you get there. It's small, light, and portable, like it was made for road trips. Just crack it open, knock it back, and keep both hands on the wheel. Because when it comes to road trips, safety comes first. 5-Hour Energy. Energy on the go. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
For your Gulf Coast Sports Minute, I'm JP. Mark down another Division I talent set to join the ranks with the UWF football team. The Argos announced the addition of former Ohio defensive back Devontae Mitchell on Friday afternoon. Mitchell played in 10 games last year with the Bobcats, who finished 7-6 last season. Mitchell will join the 9 other Division I transfers this season as Coach Shinnick and the Argos look to repeat as national champs. In our recruiting spotlight this week, Tyler Strain for the Pace Patriots. After a standout performance at the Combine in late June at the home of the Dallas Cowboys, Strain has been invited to play in the Blue-Gray All-American Bowl this winter. Although he is a versatile player on offense for the Patriots, there is none better than Tyler in the secondary. His 4.4 speed in the 40 tells only part of the story as his coaches rave about his love for competition. Strain has offers from Illinois, USF, South Alabama, and Tulane, to name a few. And with the Patriots looking to get back on their winning ways this season, Strain is not a young man you're going to want to miss on Friday nights. That's your Gulf Coast Sports Minute. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Dad! Come on! Over here! Look at this, Dad! Over! Whoa.
The moment my son saw a redwood tree
It's huge!
is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, biking, fishing, or camping. Or do your own thing when you get there with family and friends. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
For this week in sports history, I'm JP. In 1970, Clay Kirby has a no-hitter going for 8 innings, but is lifted for a pinch hitter. Reliever Jack Balchin gives up 3 hits, and the Padres lose 3-0. In 1976, Hank Aaron hits his 755th and last home run off Angels' Dick Drago. In 1989, Mike Tyson knocks out Carl Williams in 1 minute and 33 seconds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1997, Greg Maddux throws a complete game with just 76 pitches. In 2000 British Open men's golf, Royal Lytham and St. Anne's, Tiger Woods beats Thomas Bjorn and Ernie Els by 8 shots to win his first Open title. He becomes the youngest player at 24 to win all 4 major titles. And in 2019, the NFL Dallas Cowboys were named the most valuable sports team in the world, worth $5 billion. Second place was the New York Yankees at $4.6 billion, according to Forbes magazine. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP. JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, JP asked me to tell you all about my Red Snapper weekend, so I guess I have to. And then we'll also get to more as Major League Baseball back in action. Nothing like watching Wrigley Field with silence.
Emmitt Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. It's across the middle, and it's caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Brock's been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 for Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trick Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each every day on Blab TV. So I'm out one day, and I realized that the whole place was remodeled in here. So Coach David Tanner came in and did the show with JP. Thank you guys for holding down the fort. I was up to important business.
You didn't listen to the show, did you?
I was not. I was in Tallahassee.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
Yeah, I was out of town, catching a lot of red snapper. It's a good time.
It's a clown show.
Which one?
Well, our show, but yeah, everything, I guess.
Well, so it was on track. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I was going to say, you followed the protocol. You got the sort of CDC gives you guidelines, like you follow the Brilliante.
I tried to keep it and do it the Brilliante way.
That's right. So you got to all the big stories.
Some.
Went over UConn women's basketball against South
Carolina.
We didn't,
but we went on a bunch of nonsense.
No Husky women versus Lady Cox games? Okay.
No, we didn't get to that.
All right. And I saw it was decorated differently in here. So apparently we got the Nashville sound. Okay, Nashville, the redneck Las Vegas of the world, love Nashville. Fine with that. Actually got called up on to do a live show, even though I was not part of the band. I just looked the part, and I was carrying a bottle of Bullet in like a real tuxedo with a bottle of Bullet whiskey.
Bottle of Bullet.
Don't ask how it got in there. And the guy's like, you guys are up on stage. So maybe some boy band looking country pop star was performing with spiky hair. I don't know. But apparently this was also 10 more years when I was going to say prime, but there never really was one. So I was up there, but got up, and then people in the stands were like, because we had a group of like 20 that went on this trip. It's easy that way to split a hotel. So we look over. Rooms are not cheap there, by the way. So we get out there, and they're all like pointing. They're like, it's not one of the band members, man. And like I kept looking back at them. People in the crowd thought I probably was like doing fist pumps, but I was like, shut up. Don't say a word, man. Just let me rock this one. So it's a good trip. I love Nashville. Predators game was awesome. But the Southern Miss garbage that was in here, and somebody out there that went to Southern Miss is like, how dare
There's a lot of people that went to Southern Miss in this area.
I know, which is fine, because I'm a UCF guy. And the blast that we took from actually being the fake national champions, we had a parade. They did not. You got Brett Favre in real comfortable jeans. We liked him a lot. About 3 weeks ago, he sort of went backwards a little bit. But overall, UCF right here has taken over. For the people that likes, once in a while, you get that right there. So it's still there. It's underneath. It's exactly where it deserves to be, below UCF, underneath them, getting sat on. It's there. It's just hidden. Just like they are on the record books. It's there, but it's just irrelevant to everything going on. So you can't. It's still there though. It's in the room, exactly where it should be. And this board that he brought in that looks like something that somebody made.
They don't make those anymore.
They don't. And this is about to be my cracker tray right here. I'm eating some Ritz crackers on it, so perfect right here. Yeah. This is very much not COVID sanitary.
Are those Ritz crackers, by the way?
Yeah, they are.
Is that peanut butter Ritz?
This is not condoned by the CDC guidelines.
No,
to
it's
eat
not.
Crackers on a random board. Those are Ritz crackers. Let's keep them away from the radio right now. Let's get to some of the stories. Baseball's back. How about that? Let's get it going.
I'm not going to clap until we get there. I just learned with 2020.
But we are sort of there. Have you not watched the incredible? It's weird watching those games. It is.
It's not incredible. It's only incredible because think about it. When spring training was coming up before, you would pay attention to some games, but you'd be like, eh. Now it's like your eyeballs are focusing all on it, and you're watching everything, even though it doesn't technically count right now, because you're looking for anything.
Yeah.
And because we're seeing the actual players play them more than one inning. So.
And there can be a star once in a while that can take over an entire game without having to be there. Like Marlin Man, we always know him in the orange shirt in the background. Or one of the guys up there that has, like, even at the football games, that has defense painted. He's the big D right there, and then they got it all, and they're shaking in the front row. Those golden guys, the garnet and gold guys that look like spray paint out of something out of, like, My Little Pony, right in the front row of the Seminole game.
They're still painted up.
They're still up
right
there,
now.
yeah. We always have, every team's got it. Fireman Fred, you got the Hogettes out at Washington, which,
that's rude.
Based on their record, they're looking for the name Washington Hogwash. I mean, it makes sense for what they're doing. Or the Possums, I heard, because they always roll over and play dead. How about that?
Play dead.
I just think that baseball is going to be a little different. However, I'm saying this in a way where it's like, it's a little weird, but it's there. If the options were not to play or to not hear the guy go, peanuts, ice cold, like, if that's the difference, no organs, like, if we can do that and protect our organs, then let's do that. So in the options that we have, let's go ahead and do it. The only thing I didn't like is these guys clearly have not been in game shape because these guys are whiffing. I mean, you realize in baseball how bad you can look when a guy throws 98 with movement. And when you see a guy hit an opposite field jack against something like that, you realize how good these athletes are. It's just the juice, man. Took some protein powder. Yeah, you go out there and try to hit a lefty that throws 97 slider in the dirt where it breaks over the middle of the plate, and you swing and that thing's about 5 feet past you. Rex Brothers was out there. Rex Brothers. He's got some good stuff. He just gets rocked. He played in Colorado, too. Nothing like making your first appearance in Colorado out of the bullpen. Like, you're bound to have like
good luck.
You're going to have a 3-year career. You're like, can I go
better
anywhere
off being
else?
A hitter.
I would ask for a raise at anywhere I pitched in Colorado. I'd just say no thanks to that. Because these relief pitchers, if you can get out of an inning without allowing a run in Coors Field, it's great. But if you get rocked, which inevitably everybody's going to get rocked at Coors Field, you go 3 games without allowing a run, you allow a grand slam, and all of a sudden your ERA is over 10. It's like, that's the thing with Brothers, though. It gets out there, and these guys are completely missing. And the broadcast, Chipper Jones is out there. Chipper looked like he just got back from like a nice tropical retreat. He had the green jacket going for the Masters. I mean, he was chill. He was ready. Rick Sutcliffe was out in San Diego. He's getting up there in age a little. He looked like he actually wore a white shirt behind a white door and looked like a ghost besides his head. And then you had good old Boog Sciambi. Does a great job at the games. It's weird, though, because they don't know. They're not on a professional level to talk over like every. It's okay once in a while, but they don't know when to stop or what to do. And everybody's figuring this out.
Yep.
But we saw it with Korean baseball. It's the same exact semantics of what's going on. Different people, different language. No more Hyung Yu Ju. And now we've got guys like, Rick.
God bless you, by the way.
Thank you. But it's a different game completely. But the operations of it are done the same. Camera angles, broadcast team.
Stealing signs, trash cans, all that kind of stuff.
I don't know if they go that far. But it was good to see back.
I thought we were talking about Astros. I'm sorry.
We're going to ask you the question today. Are you for or against pumping the crowd noise, though, in baseball games?
Did you see where they're getting the crowd noise?
That's what I'm saying. They're going to jack it up 75 different versions. Like, they already have one for Yankee Stadium that's like, yo, listen up, Blue, you're a bum. Like, out of nowhere. He has a button you can hit, and it says that. Go back home, we loser. Like, every single time they got that.
They're getting it from MLB The Show.
We love you, Jeter. Yeah.
They're taking it from the video game. And look, there's been a movement right now that people are trying to.
There's a movement going on? I didn't know that.
Well, that was just poor choice of words this time.
Please.
But there's a bunch of people, obviously, that are getting together that are trying to get Manfred's attention and say, look, we want to submit our voices in a sound to you. We want it to play. And a lot of it is coming because people want an opportunity to boo the Astros. And they said, we will pay money that you can give to any charity you want, whatever, if it's COVID or whatever, cancer research, whatever you want to do with it. But we want to pay. We just want our boos heard by the Astros. I would pay $20 to to get my boo as long as it was played every Astros game.
Yeah, people were mad that Bubba Wallace was getting booed in Bristol. Look, here's the thing that I try to tell everybody in life. Over time, you realize that you don't get to control what the masses feel. You just don't. If they paid their ticket to get in, they have the right to booing. If they're booing, but then they're also yelling things that are highly inappropriate and things around people, then you're going to get kicked out. But for booing somebody, Jeff Gordon got booed.
Big time.
Rainbow Warrior used to get booed all the time. You had everybody gets booed. There are people that are like real good-hearted people that get booed. They boo sometimes. It's the worst, but it's like one of those Hall of Fame moments where they bring the guy back from the 80s, or he's like from the 40s, but he's World War II veteran and 3-time All-Star, and he's like taking up the game a little because they want to get back and like, boo, and I'm like, stop doing this right now. Like, what?
Or if you're Santa Claus.
They boo everybody sometimes. So, yes, is this a story that he got booed? It's how they feel. It's not how I feel. I wouldn't boo him. I'm not going to cheer him or applaud him either, but I'm not going to boo him. But people have the right to do that. You can put all the documentaries you want in this world out there on Pinkus and all this other stuff. Guess what? There's double drive-through with a sign that says, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, billion served. Boom, right in your face, like Emerald. Boom. So it doesn't matter always what we feel. The people are going to drive that. Walmart, you can put all that you want. There's lines out the door still. People get mad when things they happen. The beaches for spring break. Why are people? Well, if the people open the beach, that's up to the governments and the cities to make that. But the people that are going there, they don't care what you're writing on Facebook. They're bringing that family in for a raccoon tan. They're going to sit on one of those flamingo floats that usually flies out of the Papa's truck. I drove back today or yesterday from Apalachicola, and it was about a 4-hour drive back, and I saw about 16 of those floats all over the road. One of them was pretty cool. It was like a pineapple thing. I almost grabbed it, but the other ones kept going.
Leighton would have loved that.
She would have. Probably not sanitary either to grab that out of a ditch on the side of the road near Panama City. But we just need to understand, though, that even with this, with Bubba, like, what are you trying to accomplish by continuing to go down? Like, the people have made the choice. You have two things. For every action causes a reaction. You can ignore it and say, man, well, that's their decision. Or NASCAR can implement if you boo somebody across the board, you're going to get kicked out. Good luck in sports for doing that.
Oh, boy.
Good luck in sports for doing that.
Dumb enough to do that.
Well, if they do that, there would be I would start. You know how people are like, I'm done. I'm done watching the NFL. I'm done with the NFL. Or I'm done with this. And I'm fine with anybody's decision. Because guess what? That guy that lives like 25 minutes away from me in Pace that says that does not affect you and I going grabbing a beer and watching the Titans and the Patriots get revenge this year with Cam.
Whoa.
On that vegan diet. Like, I've got to get behind it now. I don't know. He's on that. Look, he would be the guy, too, to tell people on the team to go vegan. Like, it's okay if you want to do that once again, but I'm going to eat that burger. I'm going to enjoy that steak. Like, you are in prime shape. The ladies love you.
More power to you.
You've made $100 million, even though we're getting you for like $1 million. But overall, people pushing their own agenda, it's getting tiresome. Now, if it's something for good cause and it gets enough people behind it, then good. But it's just so many people that don't have any power are telling people what to do or can't. I saw somebody say, you can't boo Bubba Wallace. And I'm like, yeah, they can if they want to.
They did.
They did, and it's Bristol, Tennessee. I mean, come on now. But I thought they did a phenomenal job, able to get 20,000 people, able to show that they can make it work. They checked their temperature before they came in. But for baseball, I would like to see that happen over time because I think baseball is the type of sport that is perfect for social distancing, getting away. You have a couple fans. You usually sit with that group. Baseball is very rare compared to football, where football, there's a lot of people every play getting up. The waves going on. Heck, who knows? You rub that nose, that wave goes up. Those germs go up.
Yeah.
Just don't know. But right now, we do need to understand, though, that for baseball, I think that ultimately, right now, like I said, just blessed that sports are coming back this week. Baseball, I've been actually watching some of these MLS games. If I said that like a year ago, like I'm really into MLS, you'd be like, bro, it's like, got the Olympics. Dick Pound just said that we're playing, actually. We had situations where we'd be Midsummer Classic in baseball. You'd have the NBA right now, like finishing up the finals, into the draft. You'd have all these things happening. Football getting geared up right now, already in summer camp form. But right now MLS has been what is on at night, and I've been watching it over the Eagles concert on ESPN2. It's good the first 3 times.
Yeah,
live from the Forum in 2018. I'm like, oh, it's not even live.
So 2 things. One, it was good yesterday to see.
So you're for or against crowd noise, though?
I don't particularly care. It's not going to make me change my mind on watching the game. I'm there to watch the game regardless of whatever it is. I mean, I've watched Korean baseball and there's been nothing there. I mean, outside of the cheerleaders cheer and doing whatever their thing. I mean, but I think it's weird because I want to see the camera angles. I know you're not going to be able to hide the entire time, but if we can, if you're looking, I'm trying to feel like the best way to say this, but if we're looking at a stadium and we're seeing empty stands out there and I'm hearing crowd noise, part of me is like, come on. If the camera angles are a little bit different, it makes it better. Like I said, it's not going to change. It's not going to matter anyway. I'm still going to watch the game. But if I'm looking at an empty stadium, I'm okay with no fan noise. I really am. It doesn't, because I know they're not there. I'm not there for the fans. The fan noise is a part of it, but I want true fan noise. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to watch the Astros game and watch them get booed on the road. Like, that's where I feel that. You know, you're sitting at home, you're sitting at the bar, whatever. You feel them booing because in the inside you're booing too. Things like that. That's the difference. Like I said, I don't care either way. But if I could have it one way or the other.
Let's get technology rolling then. And with what you said, I understand what you say about that. You know they're not there and the crowd is. But don't you also know if you go to a place like, remember Piccadilly's? Did we have around here? Okay. We used to go there. But you'd walk up and you'd see the food, but some of it was clearly not food you could eat. It was like a picture of it, or like Starbucks, they have that. Clearly, you're not ordering that ham and cheese biscuit that's been sitting there for like a year.
I want it.
But if you walked into the restaurant like, how dare you, sir? Clearly, that is not what I'm going to eat. That is plastic. They'd be like, then you don't have to order. Next, like, I understand what you're saying, but to me, I would rather see that fake plastic look-alike to know what I'm getting than get it and be like, well, this is crap. I didn't want this. Like, at least the visual. Look, I know all his movies are the same, and like there's been 14. I think there's like a Rise of the Moon 9, but Transformers movies, there's been like 100 of them. But I like sometimes when I'm sitting on the couch and there's nothing to do to watch things blow up in a Michael Bay movie. Bam, boom. Like, I don't mind that. From a script, no, he's not going to win an Oscar. But this isn't going to be a Marlon Brando. There's not going to be one of those great moments right there, Tom Hanks' performance. But you'll get a Megan Fox. You'll get some moments working in a garage with some tools, Mark Wahlberg scenes. And then all of a sudden what you're going to get is you're going to get excitement, though. Imagine a horror movie or a romance without the music. Like, imagine Michael Myers walking down a school hallway without da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Like, if I watch the game, watch a whole game and then decide. I think that's the best thing to do, because people saying, I get it, saying, oh, this is fake. We laughed at Atlanta when they actually pumped crowd noise with people in the crowd because the fans were just over it and they weren't cheering. Now, like, that was funny, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because if you have fans, even if you're going to go down in flames, be the PA guy to be like, ladies and gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and get off your seats, open up those windpipes, and give a crap. Thank you very much for coming out to Atlanta Stadium here, Georgia Dome, and get them into the game somehow. You had the Chargers game against the Pittsburgh Steelers when there was actually Steeler music getting played. Black and yellow, black, and they're playing all that Steeler music, and they're sitting here going.
Needless to say, that guy does not work for the
organization. That guy got fired, deservingly, even though it was 75% Steeler fans. That guy
75. That's
probably more than that. That's I gave the Chargers a lot of credit there, but all those LA Charger fans that are
the only
going
Charger
to the
jerseys in that stadium were the ones that were on that field.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad call. I'll give somebody. I'll send them. Yeah, I'm not going to do this because somebody will just Google it. I was going to say I'd give them $5 if somebody sent me in a picture right now that they've seen a guy with an LA Charger shirt in town. But they can Google that, and I'm not going to do that. But if they show proof, like, hey, I'm out here on Palafox, that guy right there, because I haven't seen it. I know anybody driving right now, even Marshall's rack, nothing for the LA Chargers.
Here's my thing, and I understand. Look, like I said, I'm not one of those people that's like, this, how dare we're pumping in fake crowd noise, what are they thinking? I'm cool with it either way, but personally, I know the fans aren't there, so in my head, I'm like, look, you don't have to do this. It may work out, but once again, I don't care about the fan noise unless it's booing the Astros this year. That's it. But I am there to watch the game. I am so happy watching Korean baseball with all that. Trust me, if I'm okay watching Korean baseball as much as I have, I'm going to be okay with whatever product they put on the field. It's not going to bother me either way. So I'm not in either corner in this. Play it, get pumping in the crowd noise, cool. If they decide not to or whatever, cool. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. There are a million other things that I would rather worry about than that.
See, with Korean baseball, though, the only difference is it's 4:30 in the morning anyway, and I'm half asleep.
Just cross your eyes.
I'm out. So whatever they're playing is just going to be more of a distraction.
See, I watch mine at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, so that's a little different.
Yeah.
But I'm taking this based on I watched the first time the Cubs and the White Sox last night.
White Sox, baby.
White Sox won, but I'm watching the game, and out of all stadiums, out of all of them, I'll even say over Fenway and Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field is what you look at as like the place with everybody grabbing a beer. You usually get that guy with the, quote, dad bod that shouldn't be having his shirt off with, all the people. Take me out to the ball game. A 1, a 2. Should they have like a hologram Bill Murray and those guys singing it? That would be cool.
That would be cool.
7th inning stretch. Just play the music. Everyone's like, players just watching. Silence. Bueller. Take me out to the guy in the organ. A 1, a 2. Nobody's moving. The people.
Well, the rooftop across the street. They're selling those. Remember?
Yes.
There you go.
The press box. What if they had the everybody in the press box has to get up because there's 132 people part of the media. They all make them get up. The people typing for their stories. Like, you gotta be kidding me right now. Get them out there and start dancing.
We need to get if this happens, we need to get Tommy Thrall to send us a video.
Oh yeah, for sure. If he can do that, he might get sued if he tried a 1. 2
yes,
at the Reds game, Great American Ballpark right there. Let's give it up. Some Skyline chili. A 1. And then everyone's like, what is this? This isn't Cubs game. I just have to say, though, that I would rather have some excitement because last night's game, without crowd noise, it was real quiet. I don't like quiet. I'm the guy that I sleep with a noise machine. As you could probably tell, the person that I am, I don't like things quiet. If it's quiet, it's tough. When we lived up in Boston and our family would go out to Cape Cod and my mom would have the Adirondack chairs and watch the waves, she's like, isn't this peaceful? I'm like, is there a sports bar around here? I'm like, this is cool for like 20 minutes, but I'm literally sitting watching waves and I live on the beach. I was like, can we go somewhere? Do you want to throw the football? And just calm down.
One thing to take away from all this, because I know we got to go to break, but one thing to take away from all this, July 23rd rolls around, White Sox are tied for first in the division. How long has it been since we've said that? And the Tigers, the Detroit Tigers, and the Baltimore Orioles.
I was going to say, I feel like on the disrespectful list, you just put them behind. There was like 9 teams I think you could have mentioned before that.
There's plenty more I can mention.
It's like, what did we get? We
Marlins.
We won yesterday. Oof. White Sox aren't going to be terrible this year. We'll see. It's not a compliment.
It's only 60 games.
It's not really a compliment to say. You're not going to win on dating apps if you say that. Honey, you don't. First off, you say honey, you're not winning.
Terrible.
Either. You start with honey, you're really not winning your conversation either.
Yeah.
If you're not married to him, or dating him, but you start your sentence, honey, you don't look terrible on here. All right, click. Why is this person? All right.
You don't look as bad as you think.
Thank God I'm married with the things I say. I love you, honey. Coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola Live TV.
Guys, waking up over and over to pee is not okay. But now you can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients in Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced. We're talking about less urges to pee at night, less bathroom trips during the day, and better bladder emptying.
It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one.
You can try a full 30-day bottle of
P3 Advanced. Free.
Just cover shipping and handling, and a free bottle will be conveniently shipped to your door. No strings attached and no commitments to buy.
Call 1-800-491-4613.
Super Beta Prostate is the best-selling brand in major retailers like Walmart. But for this no-strings-attached free bottle, you must call now.
Call 1-800-491-4613. Agents are standing by to take your call for this unprecedented free offer. Call 1-800-491-4613. 1-800-491-4613.
This Thursday at 5:30, tune into the Sports Drive with me, Chad Brillante, when we tee it up with PGA and head pro at Osceola Golf Course, Adrian Stills, for his inside scoop on local golf events and some entertaining stories around the links. Adrian has represented Pensacola at the highest levels of the PGA Tour and is proud to call Pensacola his home. And now he's giving you the inside scoop Thursday at 5:30, right here on the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
I'm gonna make it bend and break. They sent you to me with that way. Say a prayer, but let the good times roll. In case God doesn't show. Let the good times roll. And I want these words to make things right, but it's the wrongs that make the words.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante, JP with you here as college football still trying to figure everything out. And in a league that doesn't have a commissioner, has a president who clearly has been, I don't mind saying it, has been cowardly with a lot of his decisions.
He's a nice guy.
Real
nice guy.
I've met him in person a few times, but the decisions he's made are not really decisions, but it's more like the guy that's like at the back of the bar, like, I don't think we're going to play either, man. Like, you're the guy we're looking to for advice. We all know this is real, and things are dropping. I found out today, my daughter's school, she's not going to be going back, and it's like, everything, yes, this is real. We understand that. But we look for guidance. Adam Silver, even though he looks like Nosferatu, and he guided the NBA to figuring it out, and they're about to go. Baseball didn't really figure it out, but they got to play still. I mean, they sort of ran out of time, and then Rob's like, I'll make the decision, which he could have 3 months ago. Joining us now to talk some college football, joining us from Jacksonville, and always great to catch up with him every single Monday. You can follow him, College Sports Notebook, at Brent Baird, BEAIRD. First Coast News, 1010 XL Radio, and more, working with the Florida Gators. Brent, good evening. How's it going?
Chad, good to be with you on a warm day, to say the least, but I think to dovetail with some of the stuff you've said, the problem with Mark Emmert and the NCAA is they basically neutered him, and he has really very little, if any, power at this point. What a lot of people have talked about, and they really need to look at this at some point in this pandemic and not waste a crisis, is to basically get an overall commissioner or a czar. Because I can tell you, Mike Slive or Jim Delaney would have provided some real leadership in these situations, and frankly would have been a good czar along that line too. But I come today, I think, with some positive news on a Monday. I mean, we've learned that the NBA, Major League Baseball, have scant, if any, positives, and I think that's something that we're going to have to be following here at this point, and as opposed to this national narrative and guys who ought to know better, that there are some positive things today. I mean, Notre Dame is one that is sad that they've got very few, if any, positive tests. So I think, look, is it perfect? No. But I think the thing that we're slowly seeing is that we're doing better. And we're coming up with some kind of a plans, if for no other reason, almost out of desperation, that are beginning to work. So I do think we're going to have a season I do think it's going to be probably modified to some point, but I'm telling you, Chad, right now, I think most fans, even if there were no fans in the stands, they would take a season, modified or not.
Brent, when it comes down to games played, I think that's going to be something key because even though we're all figuring this out, there is a lot at stake, and the fans want to see victories. And heck, even if you don't win a title, some people will claim it. But when it comes down to this year, people are talking about how, if they win it, kids aren't going to see 2020. That's not true at all. If a team wins a national title this year, they're taking it. That's what teams do, and they're absolutely taking it. But if you have a team that only plays 8 games, you have another team that plays 12 games, I'm not asking you to figure it out because we're all figuring this out together, but do you see a system where it's, okay, you know what, instead we're going to take the conference champions because that's an easier way to do it than to try to figure out the semantics of a team's 12-1 record against a team that is maybe 8-0?
Well, or what we may have is a team that's 8-1, and you've got Clemson at 6-0. Well, who gets in at that point? Well, I'll provide a solution. The thing you do this year is, if you're smart, is you expand the playoffs, and you go from 4 to either 6 or to 8. And by doing so, you will have the conferences represented, and you will have basically a wild card, if you were to call it that. Look, there's nothing hard about this at all. I mean, you're only talking about basically 1 or 2 more games involving either two more teams or 4 more teams. So, your point's well taken, and we can have a very uneven season and trying to put all this in a box and let this committee figure out only 4 teams, frankly, is ridiculous. What you do with that is you go ahead and you say, look, let's have a little bit of forward thinking here and come up with a solution before we get too deep in this, and it's going to be a real problem.
Speaking with Brent Baird of College Sports Notebook. Brent, when you look at divisions and realigning, we understand that this is not going to be easy. Toronto made the announcement, no thanks to allowing Americans to go north of the border, which we go, that's fine. Toronto's going to come down and go south and have a chance to play baseball. They'll continue somewhere. Now, college football, there are going to be moments where people thought things were figured out and a stadium's going to have high testing rate, or a city might get to a situation. Who knows? A situation might arise like what happened with George Floyd, as sad and horrible as that was. And everybody, I think everybody agrees with that. I hope everybody at this point understands a terrible cop did a terrible thing and an inhumane act, because very few things we agree on in this country. I think everybody, I've not heard one person say that cop was right in any reason. So what we need to understand is something like that could occur again, and that city is going to have to figure things out. And what if they're into week 4? Are we going to be able to do you feel competent? Because I don't. I'll just say that. But do you feel competent with Mark Emmert and the staff to figure these things out? Because you're going to need more important leadership than ever at this time. The NBA is showing that they have it. I don't see that right now. And what the NFL's dealing with, too, with the players and the owners, is not going down a good start so far, as they're supposed to report to camp coming up here.
Well, where you're going to get leadership is going to be from your conference and hopefully your commissioner. Look, I agree with you. You're not going to get anything out of Mark Emmert in a situation like that, again, because he really probably doesn't see his role is doing that. So you're going to have to, and I think you could also say, what would stop the situation? Would protesters? Yes. And also, what are you going to do if you've got if you play a game and when they're tested on Tuesday and Wednesday, that they come up with the virus? Well, that really is why, Chad, that you've got to have some wiggle room in these situations to where you may have a situation where some of these teams end up playing They may have several bye weeks. I could see them not starting till mid-September, 1st of October. I think they're going to have to push the SEC championship game back a couple of weeks. That's not going to hurt anything either. But I think your point's well taken. There's going to have to they're going to have a plan in case that something gets stalled or the game gets canceled. And look, here's the extension of the plan. You got to have a plan not only to do that, but you can't panic. You step back, you give it some pause, you give it a week, you figure it out, and then you get on with it without canceling the season. That's going to be as important. And we're going to have some stop, start, and they've got you've got some smart people in these universities, and they need to figure that out. And they may have to do it on the fly.
Brent, there's of course this is a story that, me being an Oregon fan, having family from the West Coast over there, I understand how things are a little bit different than over here in the South and of course Southeast, no matter what. But an interesting story, of course, coming out with former Arizona State quarterback Rudy Carpenter, recently revealing there's growing unrest among a few dozen players in the Pac-12. Now, he basically came out and said the Pac-12 football players have created a list of demands for the Pac-12 universities to take into consideration, and if they're not addressed or complied with, the players are threatening to sit out the season. Now, he said there's obviously growing support with this. I don't know. I haven't read too much into this, but I saw that a couple of the things they're asking for are 6 years insurance upon graduation, better COVID-19 testing and protocols, things I get, but a 50-50 revenue share, which I'm kind of curious. Brent, surely 50-50 revenue share. I'm not 100% sure. I've never been in the offices there. That to me seems like something that is just not going to happen, especially not this year. What do you make of that whole situation?
Well, listen, that's not going to happen ever, because I can tell you at this point that the leagues are not going to have anything near that. And listen, here's why. They would not have had a 50-50 split when things were going well, such as last year when everybody supposedly had so much money. Right now, it's an awful time to come up with anything of that nature because with losing games, and particularly if the season is delayed, the loss of revenue is going to be unbelievable. They need to get real in the Pac-12 about that, because that's just not going to happen. And the reality is all these concessions that the NCAA have given these players over the last 3 to 5 years, they have done it basically for one reason, is to keep them from forming a labor union. And that's basically what they're thinking about doing. Now, will we have one somewhere down the line? We very well possibly could, if they rethink some of these things. But sort of what they're talking about, the first several things, that's pretty logical. The revenue split will never happen.
Brent, final question here. You look at, I know all the polls have come out. Phil Steele's magazine talking about Miami being number 17. I know I commented yesterday on that, a little bit shocked, because I know they must have got some kind of boost coming off a 14-0 shutout loss to Louisiana Tech in the Shreveport Independence Bowl. I think that really catapulted them into the top 20. But one of the stats that I saw here from when you send out your college sports notebook every week is that you talked about some of the offensive lines. And we all know, anybody that's been around the game of football knows, if you can keep chemistry and keep your big guys healthy that are 4- and 5-star recruits up at the top line, you have a good chance to win every year. Well, a lot of the teams on that list that are returning all 5 starters to the offensive line are teams that have been bad for a while, but their fans expect them to be good. Miami, Nebraska, Tennessee, teams like that they have long history of tradition, but they haven't won in a while. Is that something where, is there stats out there that show that? Because I'd be fascinated to see the correlation between having all 5 starters returning and the teams making a huge jump for the next season.
And listen, I think that's a bigger deal than even all your skill position players coming back, because if your quarterback's got time to throw and they can open up holes for the running back, that makes a huge difference. I think there's a big correlation along that line, and you can also go back to I think both lines of scrimmage along that line. Now, some of these schools, it may not help at all, frankly, because they just don't have the other personnel to do it. But I'm with you on that one. I would love to see how that would be correlated over to winning championships. I'm not saying it does, Chad, but I'll bet you if you got that together over a 10-year period, the majority of those teams were turning off 5 offensive linemen. I bet they've had more than not winning records, and at least made a bowl game. It would be logical, would it not?
It would. What it doesn't take into is the X factor. Like if you said, I've made $10 million over the last 10 years, you would say, wow, that's very impressive, a very wealthy life. But what I didn't say is maybe a team like Arkansas State, who has 5 returning, their quarterback is the guy that says that, but he's also $200 million in debt before he said that. So there you go. So there's always the X factor.
And again, that's a great point. I mean, you can have all 5 starters coming back in basketball or 5 offensive linemen in football, but frankly, if they're not very talented, it probably is not going to matter.
No.
So the talent and the guys returning does.
About 2 years ago, if Florida State would have said we had 5 incoming freshmen, they would have been like, bravo right there. They'd have been pretty excited. So, hey, Brent, we appreciate your time as always, and looking forward to, as we get closer to the football season, just catching up every Monday on what we can.
Me too, brother. Take care. Good talking to you guys.
Appreciate it. Brent Baird, College Sports Notebook, one of the best right there. You can check him out as well. 1010XL Radio, First Coast News, the Gator Podcast Show. Used to write for Gator Bait Magazine. I don't know if that's allowed anymore. I think they've changed their name now. I'm just saying.
I'm not searching that.
Can you do that with that? They used to do a very homely, great Gator website right there.
It was. I think it's Gator Sports now.
Oh, is it Gator Sports?
I think it's Gator Sports.
Okay. Scott Carter, I think, is on there.
Yeah.
Good guys. Zach Alberverdi. Okay. Let's go ahead and no more Gator Bait Magazine. That's how we're ending it. No more Gator Bait.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-285-4954. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-285-4954. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-285-4954. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-285-4954. 800-285-4954.
If you are a collector, investor, or just an avid sports fan, then listen up. Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles in Gulf Breeze has one of the largest sports memorabilia collections in the area, with new inventory arriving weekly. If Hot Wheels is your thing, they have that too, with old, new, and special edition models to choose from. At Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles, you can buy, sell, or trade. Located on Highway 98 in Gulf Breeze, Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles is the place to go to collect either for fun or to invest for profits.
Are you ready to kickstart your career or maybe make a change in your current career? Georgetown Technical College offers short-term, hands-on programs that equip you with industry-recognized certifications in fields that offer jobs right here in the Pensacola area. And starting in August, Georgetown Technical College is offering face-to-face instruction. To learn all about the programs, costs, and schedules, visit georgestonecollege.edu. That's georgestonecollege.edu.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin. You're listening to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Okay. Welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola. 5:45 on this.
You eating your crackers still?
Yeah, it is. Peanut butter and crackers not the best.
And
Feel
it's
like
red, so they're buttery.
That puppy dog is going. It's not a nice thing to do to your dogs. It's good for a laugh.
It's not good. A good sound for radio.
But if you're doing that consistently to your dog, sort of litmus test on how bad of a human you are. If you do it once, it's funny. We're like, all right, well, I'll laugh right there. It's the person that cuts wind at a party, like for one. But then he does it all the time. And you're like,
nope,
just being disgusting. I'll get out of my house. It's funny the first time, but eating Ritz crackers and trying to come back. A lot of peanut butter going on here. Let's go to talking about some of the lineup that we have coming up here with baseball and the opportunity to watch NBA basketball coming back. Well, ESPN Pensacola is giving you a chance to. I know Jeremy and Davis, Kevin, a lot of the guys have been working on it as well. And Atlanta Braves versus New York Mets coming up here Sunday on July 26th, right there on Sunday. Get that first game going. Braves Mets. You know, they got Acuna. Most people took Acuna.
Is this an Acuna joke?
It's not a joke. No, they took him to win it could be a joke if he doesn't live up to hype. But they asked him to They picked him to be the MVP.
Please be the MVP. It's like, okay, I guess.
I'm supposed to source who did that. The people did. No, it was the MLB.
Like my sources.
The MLB players voted that Acuna was the MVP.
So he's not going to win it now. They jinxed him.
I don't know. I mean, he might jinx himself by.
Here we go.
What I think, sort of what he actually was asked about, and he says, "I'm privileged to have the opportunity where everybody believes that I'm the MVP." But I feel like the first half of the season, I'm going to nail one off the wall, and I'll be rounded first. And right around that next 30 games, I'm going to sort of half it, and I'm not going to get to second.
I knew you couldn't help yourself. I was trying to set you up to see if you're really going to do it, but
that's sort of.
I feel like that's not a quote from him. I feel like that may have been taken out of context.
I don't think he speaks English, first off. I'm not 100% that he speaks English. I've never seen him do an interview. That's not being, like, stereotypical.
No,
I've never seen a lot of – about 30% of baseball doesn't speak English.
Yep.
So none of that. I would – if he did say that and it was in Spanish, I would have just been like,
yep.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
I would be coming on here and actually translating it for you here. But the Braves and Mets, you got Clippers-Lakers. If they're going to pick a game, we got Clippers-Lakers on Thursday right there on the 30th. Then on Friday, July 31st. That's the final day of the month. Rockets, Mavs. We're exploring the knowledge
What's happening here?
Trying to let people know. They don't know calendars here. Houston Rockets versus Dallas Mavericks. On August 2nd,
the final
the
day
Red Sox and Yankees.
You're telling me there's not a July 32nd this year?
Just realizing that people need to know these things. It's important. Red Sox Yankees on August 2nd. Then 5 days later, the 7th of August, you have the Celtics and the Raptors, and they'll tip it off at 7:30. So Braves.
Wait,
Mets,
how many days later is that?
5.
Okay, I'm trying to plan. I just need to know how many days
5
later.
5 days
that is.
after we go to the.
What is it?
We go to that Friday.
5 days later.
So here it is: Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Friday. Write that down with nothing else, and just remember everything I told you. There you go. I'd be the worst teacher for that. Write that down. Be like, I have less clue what's happening with the station now. No, Dak Prescott has less clue of what's happening with reality right now. He wanted to get more. Don't feel bad. I know some people, everybody has their opinion on Dak. Why? Because we haven't had sports, and he's been a topic for about 16 years now. Well, Prescott, and I do feel bad because during this time, more importantly than anything football, his brother passed, and that's something that is sad, and he's probably going through a lot personally as a member of the family. He was close to both his brothers. Remember, they were on the Chunky Campbell soup commercial with him, and it's just one of those kind of things. There's no correlation between being close to your family and a Chunky Campbell soup. I want to make that clear, but he was close. I've read a lot of stories.
Dak's a good dude.
He is.
Not to say it. It changes anything with anybody if you lose your family member, but still, Dak is the type of guy that listen to him talk, you can kind of you feel like you know him.
And I don't blame players, honestly, for wanting to get more money, because they're not the ones that ultimately are. When we say it's Dak's party that is holding off on this, that means his agent is sitting there going, yes, like one of those movies, money, like in the corner, like Gollum from, you always think those, like Lord of the Rings, like coming back, 35, $40 million. Like, he always wants more money. We understand that. They get paid on that.
Yeah,
If their job at the office, if they can wheel from like $35 million to like $40 million, they just made themselves about $300,000 more. So if they can pull that off on a phone call with someone that they think that they're smarter than, boom, it's a mic drop moment for them. If you just broke that down and said, in a matter of a 30-second conversation, it's not how long it takes to get a meeting, but if in a matter of 30 minutes in a room, you leave and you personally make $300,000 more, and you don't play a sport, you're not an athlete that people go, whoo, look at that, $50 million. There's no Patrick Mahomes. Girlfriend's proposed to him like 9 times, by the way, already. But when it comes down to Dak Prescott, the story's just lingered on too much, where he should have stepped in by now and been like, we need to take that. But I feel like there's already a riff going on here, because he will make $31.4 million. So let's not feel bad during this time. If next year he becomes a free agent, but if he re-signs under the franchise, the transition, the tag right there, he'd make $37.68. It comes out to pretty much around $35 million anyway, but he's just not getting a 5-year $35 million. Dallas offered him 5-year $35 million. So don't feel bad. That would make him the highest paid quarterback over the course of those 5 years under this, well, now Patrick Mahomes. But you got to realize, though, that he wanted more than that. And this was a 1-6 quarterback against playoff teams.
He wanted a 4-year deal. I mean, it comes down to, look, I like Dak as a person. Look, Dak's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback.
Exactly.
So when you're talking about that big-time money, I don't have a problem. Like you said, I don't have a problem with a guy trying to go out and get his money. Sure, go out and try to get it. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, and doesn't mean I'm going to feel sorry if you don't get it. Because when we look at Dak Prescott, once again, we've talked about this in the show, you're talking about being paid more than a guy like Russell Wilson that has made that Seattle team, which has been very average, way above average. They're a lot better. I mean, you take Russell Wilson away from that team, I'm sorry, that's not a playoff team. You're not going to convince me that's a playoff team. Russell Wilson makes that team so much better, much like when you look at the Tom Brady teams and how well they've done. Tom Brady has been that glue that binds everything together. I'm not trying to do this because you're here. But,
no, it's.
But when you look at Dak Prescott,
based on the attire that was,
yeah, I know,
the room decor here.
But for Dak, look, that's
a good one.
Look, Kirk Cousins did the same thing, and it worked out for him. Kirk Cousins said he didn't tweet out, but he was talking in an interview, and they were asking him, "Hey, you went through the same thing?" And Kirk Cousins said, "Hey, bet on yourself. If you bet on yourself and you believe in yourself, you'll win." And for Dak, he has a good opportunity. Whether the Cowboys re-sign him next year, get a deal done, or maybe he goes somewhere else, he'll get some good money.
I think Dallas fans, they do have a backup option. You guys, the other day, we had an argument with when we were talking about the possibility of Kaepernick being on the Titans. Your team, not mine. But you were using the whole entire Logan Woodside as our backup.
Yeah,
that's when the red light goes off. Like get to the bunker, like that one of those movies where everybody has to run to shelter because that tsunami wave is about to destroy the city. Like, that's Woodside when you're a playoff team. Having Andy Dalton gives you leverage to know where it's like, if you keep pushing it, we're all angry right now. I think Jerry's happy right now. He can't say a word. Everyone's like, say something on the protest. You don't want Jerry to say anything. He's going to say the wrong thing, so he's being quiet. For the first time, Jerry's being quiet. Think about that. For the first time in my lifetime, Jerry Jones is being quiet because he knows whatever he says is not going to be good in the news right now.
You don't have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all.
So with all that being said, you got a situation where Andy Dalton is a legit backup. He's a legit starter, actually, in the NFL, but not great. But he is somebody that they could say, you know what, Dak, if he didn't work out this year, we're going to put Dalton in there for a year, and then we're going to start looking in the draft.
And that offense is good enough that you plug Andy Dalton in now? Oh, my goodness.
He would love to have a team around him like Dallas compared to Cincinnati.
This would be the best team he's had in a long, long time.
And he'll have an actual coach. Let's go to a break. We do have to go to a break. Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Well, here we are again, and I got to tell you, Jim, this match has me really concerned.
Here we have a powerful heavyweight, a train, weighing in at 6,000 tons. And this hasty lightweight challenger, a car, at just 1.5 tons?
This does not bode well for the car, or the people in it.
It's no contest. Every day, people are injured or killed trying to beat a train at rail crossings. See tracks, think train.
Want to be a fly on the wall at Nat Geo's headquarters? Well, with the Overheard podcast, you can. From smuggled dinosaur bones to man-made glaciers, each episode takes a dive into the curious conversations that occur behind the scenes at National Geographic. Overheard is presented by Geico. Millions of ESPN sports fans count on Geico for reliable car insurance and low, low rates. Visit geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
From first take to your radio.
Some players going to get less because Patrick Mahomes got more. Now, Mahomes is such a good dude and such a team player, and also from a selfish point of view, I'm sure wants to win lots of Super Bowls, that he did not sign the kind of deal that hamstrings the team going forward. He signed the kind of deal that will allow the team to be very competitive around him, and because of his greatness, likely win more Super Bowls.
1 till 2, weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
From quarterbacking the Pensacola High Tigers to being head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K. Stevenson knows the game, and he brings his expertise to talk football with Coach K. Weekday afternoons from noon to 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Finally free. Every single word is perfect as it can be, and I need you here with me. When you lift me up, I know that I'll never fall. I can speak to you by saying nothing at all. Every single time.
This is probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. That Bambalam right there. Guy calling for a Bambalam, and then
XM radio is a no doubt. But you just never know.
Usually, any other time but now, we would be playing this clip. But it's hilarious either way you look at it.
Absolutely.
If you watch that in any term and don't laugh first, Gene Stallings, by the way, still working hard. Great article on him. 85 years old. He's still out there.
Doing his thing.
He's out there. I've got some garden tips, actually. I've got a whole list of them right now for him. I'm getting tired right now of all these rainstorms and some of the stuff. Like forever, we needed rain. Remember, we had a horrible spring, not too much rain, then a horrible March too, and then everything else.
April and
nobody really cared to. And all those people are like, "Well, honey, I'll get to the yard but it's baseball season, spring training, and then next week it's the NBA playoffs and the Masters, and now nobody had any excuses. If you were like, "Yeah, I'll get to that yard work," and then the wife comes home like, "Uh-huh. So what do you got going on here? You going to watch the Tiger King tonight? Huh? You going to be that guy?"
I forgot about the Tiger King.
Exactly. That's
April and May was
We're going to have 2020 throwbacks. Like, that's going to be a throwback.
April and May was the greatest weather I feel like we've ever had. And we couldn't even get out.
It was.
We couldn't even get out and enjoy it.
But Gene's out there. They did a great article on him. 85, still out there gardening in Paris, Texas. He's been social distancing forever. But we'll get him on the show this week, and because I got some garden tips. That's what I know you guys, for the last 6 years when he calls in, you want the garden tips. Some of the things going on right now, there is a alleged lawsuit against Nebraska for mishandling how they did for an assault report. That's not good. Texas aiming to try to get at least 50% capacity. I drove down to a couple cities today, or this weekend, that really just living life. I'm not saying that as like, get her done. I'm saying that as there are some places out there, some people that are going about the business. In Texas, seems like there's a reason they say don't mess with Texas. They might go for 50%. And what I would say to that, have at it, Haas. It's your decision.
Horns up.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, we'll get to more MLB, expecting to pump some crowd noise. I wonder if they're going to make it authentic. Yo, ya loser out there for the Yankee games.
Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, and it's caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmitt Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome back to the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each every day on Blab TV. I am Chad Brilliante. Glad to be with you here. JP heading off. He's got a softball game to get to, and we wish him the best. As right now, we need to understand that college football, because that's the bread and butter here in the South, and we know that. But it's going to be the hardest one to figure everything out because there's no true commissioner. There's a commissioner of every conference, and we expect every conference to make those decisions. But then there's presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors of each school that ultimately will make a lot of the decisions for their school. Bob Bowlesby has been a guy within the Big 12 that has made it clear that he's not been the most optimistic guy when it comes back to getting everybody else out there to start playing again. He's been one of the first ones to cancel Big 12 Media Days. He was one that when Mike Gundy spoke out originally, and Mike Gundy is the extreme. If we're comparing people in life, you know, you have some people that support a certain candidate. There's other people that choose because they don't want the other guy winning. There's some people that just want to get out there and vote, and they like the way the guy's name sounds. For president, that's pretty bad. But back in our he actually won. But back in Melbourne, Florida, I remember this guy, Mike Herodopoulos, and he had a sign that said, "What's a Herodopoulos?" And everybody was talking about it. Like, I have no clue what it is. But I think there was a lot of people that voted just because they didn't know what a Herodopoulos was, and they'd like to figure out from him. Wasn't a bad slogan. Just so lucky he had that name. Like mine would have been, "This guy's brilliant." Just, they can pick whether it says Brilliante or not. Sometimes you just need to understand that when you have one person making the rules, it's not always the best choice. But it's one that most people either have to live with, they pack their things and move on. Football coaches. I ran an option, and I was not an option quarterback. I would like to have the option to throw the ball. Apparently, my coach did not think so. But when it comes to the coaches, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach, the assistants, the staff, they were the ones that we listened to. Now, times are changing where people aren't listening the same. But we respected our teachers, our parents, and the people making those decisions. this is going to get so convoluted based on that at this point, when a team like Texas today reports a little while ago that they're shooting for 50% capacity at football games, which would put you at about 45,000 people. If they're shooting for 45,000 people, it's going to make some people jump right now. Because there's a lot of people that don't expect college football to come back with a silent stadium, whether they pump crowd noise or not, no bands playing, no coming out of the smoke tunnel. That doesn't seem hygienic. That just doesn't seem, at this point, seems like a lot of things. You breathe through that. Where's this machine coming from? Bevo out there. Just got to be understanding right now that they're still preparing their start of their season at home against South Florida. Well, remember, cases are rising in South Florida. Not getting into the breakdown of all that. I'm just saying, by the stats, everything's rising in South Florida. The Big 12 has not yet said it will duplicate the moves by the Big 10 and the Pac-12 to play only conference games. Same thing with the SEC. And Texas actually did add a few more people, so it'd be about 50,000. You can get about 100,000 jammed in there for a big game. They played LSU last year. I think it was about 99. So it's going to be the wild, wild west. Everybody talks about, in our business, marketing schemes for sports in radio or in TV. And most people know that. Well, when it comes to online, you ever sitting around and you're like, man, I really love to take the family out for tacos tonight. And then like 2 minutes later, going to see what Nana's up to, and you look over here, that's exactly what you do. When people go on social media, going to see what their grandma's doing, right? Most polar opposite reason people turn on their Facebook or other ways. Oh, let's see what Nana's doing today. Just realized it. Whoop. So it would be cool, though, if somebody went on there and all of a sudden there was a bunch of taco places. Well, guess what? That happens all the time. It's not conspiracy at this point. It actually happens. I know that for a fact, taking marketing classes down here at ADX with Vici. People need to understand, though, that world out there, there's not a perfect, you could advertise on websites, on Facebook, on Instagram, OTTs, when it comes down to YouTube and all this, everywhere. There's pop-ups where it looks like a story of some kid that got saved from a pool, and it's actually an ad for a pitch a penny. You never know. It's following you everywhere. We know electronic media and social media is building. But we also know that there's really not a perfect way to govern it all or to know exactly everything. Same thing with college football. Other leagues have made it easy. They've said their commissioner has decided on what is best for them. Like the NBA, not everybody liked it. Rajon Rondo thought his room was a Motel 6. And then apparently he broke or fractured his finger for 6 to 8 weeks and had to go home after that. You don't shoot a jump shot, bro, anyway. You didn't need that finger. And it wasn't a Motel 6. 5-star Grand Floridian is not a Motel 6. They'll leave the light on for you. Tom Bodette would be proud. But people just, not everybody was going to be happy. And there still aren't. You have Luka Doncic out there fishing in ponds that may or may not be fishing ponds. In Disney, you got to be careful. They have some beautiful koi ponds, and you're like, it's part of the attraction. Let's throw that koi back. It's an old fish. But the players have decided at this point what they're going to do, but they're practicing, and they're playing in a week and a half. Major League Baseball couldn't figure it out. Tony Clark walked in the door, one of those guys that has to duck to get in. Tony goes over there, talks to Rob Manfred, the owners. 1 week they think they've got it under control. The next day, no clue. And then, after a while, you have a situation where Rob Manfred comes out and says, well, I can just go ahead and decide that what we're going to do anyway. You're like, you had this rule in place the entire time, and you didn't use it? Oh, you could have just been like, that's great. After the first meeting, looked at your watch like, well, I'm in charge here until everybody fires me in the room. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play 60 games. They're going to get paid a prorated salary of this. They're going to play in their stadium. Toronto's not. We know that. And then everything's going to move on from there. He could have done that. And it took 3 months, and we all sat there, and a lot of people gave up on baseball. I think the giving up on baseball thing was more of a, like you're in a fight with somebody that you've been together for 25 years, 30 years. Your kids are off to college, but it's a fight over like dishes or the car not using the right gas. You're supposed to get an oil change and use the SW30 instead of the 20. Something like you're like, okay, you know what? At the end of the day, we can get along. Going on vacation a couple weeks, everything's going to be good. That's sort of to me, the baseball long-term residual of them taking too long if they get the season in. Because I was one of those. I was pretty ticked off every day. I mean, our job, we would have loved it. This is like a kid in the candy store week. Even though right now numbers are rising at an astronomical rate based on everything. I'm not looking every single day anymore. I know what it is at this point. If people can't figure out to be safe, wear a mask, go places. If you need to be, go home. If you want to go out, you have that choice with other people that have that choice. But to social distance when you can, wear a mask once again. All of this stuff. But if you don't, we all know people have made their own decisions by now. And if they don't, it is. I'm not going to judge anybody out there. I had to run to my car today. I was outside, left the mask in the car for 2 seconds, ran by, and a couple people were over there. Had to go meet for a meeting downtown and was running by to wave at people and realized at that point, people looking at me for a few seconds outdoors, not within about 100 feet of anybody, but one car that almost cut me off. I got your tag, buddy. We realized at this point, though, that I almost felt like I was a convict by doing that. I had my mask. I've done that, but that's how a lot of people are making society feel right now. But on the other hand, the people that are saying, nobody should wear a mask, or gets in fights, that video of the cop that shoots some guy because he was attacking her with a knife because he was angry. Somebody asked him to put on a mask. Like, once again, go back to common sense and accountability on things. That's what everything that's been going on, if people use common sense and accountability on everything, including sports, we'd be such a better country. But that's asking way too much, and we know that by now. Like, it was okay to say for anybody to believe that, you know what, peaceful protest, that's one of our American rights and freedoms to do. Throwing a brick through a Target window and stealing flat screen TVs is not something that any mama raised their kid to do. And if people are like, that's a good moment for your society. No, it's not. It's a good moment for that guy. He jacked up 6 TVs for free. Maybe he's selling them right now hot. Good day for him. He got like 9 stimulus checks. Good for him. So let's all go back to common sense. And for football, college football is going to have the hardest time because people are going to see a story like Texas wanting to get 50% of their crowd back, and then other people are going to expect their teams to do it. They might not be in the same situation, or their commissioner, their athletic director doesn't feel that way. And at this point, there's going to be arguments. Teams are going to get angry. They'll get real angry once the money, because if you get 50,000 people in stands, and think about every one of those teams that you're playing on your schedule, and they're hungry to go to a college football season. Heck, it could be one of those vintage tickets that you hold up one day, and you're like, my team didn't allow us to come back, but I went to that one football game. Yeah, that's right, baby. I went to that one game. I had to travel 1,000 miles to go to Austin, Texas, but I was able to do that. That's why you've heard a lot of teams not say anything, which personally I think is the best choice to do now, because we're sitting there on July 20th. We're getting closer, but the season begins on September 5th. At that point, it gives us 6 weeks to figure it all out. Now, not all the way down. I was the kid that turned in the paper. It shouldn't shock anybody if you know me, but I was the guy that turned in the paper, the 3-month report at school on like the 2nd month and the 29th day. Now, in my brain, I got it done. That's not what the public's going to want from these schools, is to wait till September 1st. They got to make those announcements well in advance, probably at least 2.5, 3 weeks out, to give the fans enough time to get tickets, to get ready for travel, to just prepare everything that goes into a stadium. A lot of things. A lot of people. But you don't have to make it right now, because reading a story like this is going to anger half the people, and the other half are going to go, all right, Little sign of football coming back. So when people are saying we're not going to have a football season, but Texas is saying we're going to have 50% of our fans in there, they're skipping right over that first question. They're not even messing with it. They're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they're already like, that's great. Let's move right to the $1 million question. Like, well, you don't have the right to do that. Or the guy in Jeopardy that picks the category for 1,000 before 100. Look at that guy. Like, really? We're expecting to get one we knew. Or they all get dumbfounded when there's not a sports one because they're all brainiacs. They know the one on dinoflagellants and bioluminescence and the different nephron filters of the kidney and things like that. But then you ask them a question about, like, who is a starting quarterback? He's got brothers in the NFL, and he played for the Indianapolis Colts. He's tall. He does direct TV commercials. He drank an ice cold Budweiser after getting sacked a bunch, but his team won the Super Bowl because Von Miller was really good. Giving you a lot of clues out here, guys. Who do you think? Who do you think that is? His name starts with a pe. Like, then they're like, the buzzer goes off. But right now, they're not even messing with, like, yeah, we feel like we can play football. They're getting right to it. 50% of the crowd. I think that they're going to have a lot of teams deciding this. Mike Gundy would like to have all the crowds at a stadium, I think, if you made that decision. So we don't know right now. Pac-12 decides to postpone media days. We already know the Pac-12 right now is not going to get as much done. But so far what we have learned, and this is not anything to do with politics, it's to do with numbers, but many states along the West Coast have decided have taken a different path than people here in the South. Let's just put it that way. I think that was the easiest way I could get out of that one, without being clear on what I'm obviously saying. We've taken different paths than what everybody on the West Coast is doing. I think that's fair enough. Looking at some of the other things going on right now, we talked about, well, Jon Rahm, probably when it comes to a guy that's the best in the world, at something right now that has gained more attention than ever, based on that there's not a lot of people watching anything else outside of soccer, Formula One, NASCAR, and some practice videos or old YouTube videos of people doing flips off of the top of mountains. Those are always cool. Those are fun. Jive TV. What we do understand right now, though, is that golf is one of those that when Tiger comes back, he is the needle. Well, Tiger didn't do that great this week. The Memorial, Jack was out there. Everybody found out Jack and his wife at 80 years old, which is scary, had COVID-19. He battled it he said he had a sore throat and was out for a little while. I'm sure Jack had a couple of medical doctors on staff and did okay for himself. Not to say that money is guaranteed to fix. It doesn't. But when it comes to medical and you have money, it's a positive. You get the right treatment, let's just say, and he was okay. It doesn't guarantee anything, like I said. Does not guarantee anything of what's going on. If somebody gets sick, upper respiratory, we know at this point, if you're older, you get infected, like at Jack's, there might be nothing you can do if somebody's going downhill quick. Once it gets a hold of you, there's not much you can do. This thing's bad. I mean, as I said, JP and I were both in January, went through some things that I've never seen. My toe looked like a balloon, one of these cherry balloons. Actually, it looked exactly like the Kool-Aid man jumping through the wall. Oh, yeah, like that was my toe. It looked terrible. It was awful. I had to get wheeled. This is an embarrassing moment in my life. Lower expectations. Like, moment where I had to get wheeled down one of those carts. They had to put in an elevator so I could get to urgent care. My wife had to take me. They were trying to tell me it was gout, all these things. I was like, no, this is some kind of, then they were like, some virus. They didn't know what was going on. But back in January, remember, none of us did. A month and a half later, everybody was going to Mardi Gras. We did the parades, everything with all of the crews. Nobody had any clue. Believe me, I'm in the Pez crew, and we had a blast, but nobody in late February around here had any clue when everything was going on. It wasn't until early March when we were watching sports and everything got shut down. Rudy Gobert hugged some kids in the crowd, and then 2 minutes later, Mark Cuban's getting a cell phone call, and things are getting real serious. We understand, and now we look back, and a lot of decisions we made and the things, if we could have known or what, who knows. But what we do know is that back in January, people just thought things were happening. I remember couldn't breathe that was up here doing the shows. They're all archived. I could probably pull back. Well, I'll go back. Couldn't talk. And we battled through, and it was tough. But guess what? I'm 35 years old. I didn't miss a day of work. I had to go get my toe fixed, got some strong medicine. That thing actually messed me up more. I went downstairs and had to eat a hot dog bun. Jeremy had to bring one up here. I was passing out that day. The difference is we all made our decisions, and if I go back and look at what I had at that point and say, could football season be played based on that, it would have been rough at that time, but yes, it could have. But it takes a leader to figure things out like the NBA. It's not been easy to get – you know how hard it is? I mean, we sit back and report on it, but do you know how hard it is to get hundreds of millionaires, multimillionaires, and people at this point that think they're more important, some of them, than God, some of these people, to get into one location to stay in a bunch of hotel rooms for 3 months without other people, without clubs, phone lines that you can call in with anonymous tips that if you're out there partying, out there fist pumping to some of those songs in EDM, guess what? You're going to have to get quarantined, and you might miss out on your contract. That's not easy. But Adam Silver, a guy that if you had to pick a group of commissioners of all time, that if you stood him in a room and said, that's the strong man that's done something awesome, he would not be your first choice. Doesn't look like that guy. He's pretty tall, but doesn't look like that. But don't judge a book by your cover. Adam Silver is the perfect example because he's done a phenomenal job getting the NBA together, and they're starting in a couple weeks. And they don't social distance. If you're social distancing on D, that's called Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo's like, it's perfect time for me. I'm already isolated away. ISO, when he says ISO, he's like, ISO me, jump shot, 20-footer, boom. Defense? Nah, man, 6 feet. Goes back to that. Goes back from ISO, 6 feet. But perfect time for Carmelo to star. Just following the guidelines, coach. You didn't help out on man coverage. What are you doing, man? He drove the baseline. You didn't even cut him off. 6 feet. But we do know right now with the basketball season, seems like they're about to figure it out and they're about to play. They're already doing practices with the guys being around there. They get tested every day. If somebody tests positive, then they go in a 10-day isolation. They'd come back. But they're figuring it out together. Some players have decided, like Avery Bradley, not to play, which is completely okay with that. Everybody's all right with people having the respect to do that. But other leagues faltering and watching college football and Mark Emmert saying, I don't know, this just doesn't look good. We're going in the wrong direction. Who knows what's going to happen? Well, we're looking for you for some guidance. And I know you're a president and you have other things to deal with. But guess what? You've shut down about 95% of all that other stuff we're talking about. So don't make excuses. You're at a women's track meet in Baton Rouge. Don't say that you're at a volleyball game in the middle of Texas. Don't say that you're getting ready for a baseball game in the middle of Omaha, because none of that's happening. So don't act for a second when you're the president of a league, the NCAA, that is about athletics, that a lot of people want to break up, and I understand. What else are you doing with your time right now to act like you are so busy not to try to figure out your moneymaker? And if you don't think football is the moneymaker, well, first off, you're living under a rock. And second off, even at a city like Lexington, Kentucky, where you bleed blue, you wear something else, that is like fighting words. You walk into the wrong bar, like a Louisville shirt, sir, we don't take kindly to you. Be like, I'm sorry, don't we live in a time now where everybody is, I thought we were going down this, not with that Louisville shirt. You don't. There are places where it does not matter. You think it's bad in some of these teams and areas, that is not something you do. Go to like the most hardcore Yankee bar with a Red Sox jersey, same thing. Some other places, you're going to get out of there real quick. Look, I got hit by a cart where shopping's supposed to be a pleasure at Publix because I had a UCF national title shirt. Now, I understand when the looks are for good reasons from Alabama fans that year that actually won the real national title. Understand it. But some lady hit me with her cart. This is before you had to follow the arrows, like playing Mario Kart. But she was pissed that I was wearing that shirt. People get upset over fandom just a little bit. And guess what? To prove the biggest point, Kentucky fans in basketball love their Kentucky basketball. But guess what makes more money than Kentucky basketball? Kentucky football. So even with the sport that you would take the top team, like a team like Kentucky, football generates more money for that school by far than basketball. It's just football. Makes more money. You got 100,000 compared to getting about 20,000, 18,000 in Rupp. Not even sure if it's that many. Just people need to understand, though, that football is the bread and butter. So you would think that with all these other leagues closed, that he would be trying to figure out. It's okay to say, you know what, this is going to be tough. But just like other leagues around us, left and right, with 4 major sports coming back, 3 are coming back over the next week and a half with baseball, hockey, and basketball. And football, the NFL, even though the owners and the players are going down some Twitter wars, they seem like they're still on track. They expect to film Hard Knocks with LA and LA out there, Chargers and Rams. They're expecting to go through camp coming up here in a couple weeks. Football is not budging when it comes to the NFL. And college football is in disarray across the board. That's what we cover here, and I have no clue. I've got some great ideas for the football season. I make most of my revenue during football season, my job, and we have sponsorships where we're at sports bars and all over town doing things. We were at 5 different events at World of Beer last year during the college football season in 1 month. We're always doing things. Beef O'Brady's, we're going to places. But guess what? Right now, I can't walk into one of those places with friends, hanging out, drinking a whiskey or smoking a cigar, talking to them on the beach and saying, you know what? I'm not doing any of those, by the way, right now. I'm just saying. This is all going through my head. But all of this, and then I can't say with honesty, yeah, you know what? The home of the UWF Argos right here in ESPN Pensacola, we're guaranteeing football. We would love football. UWF's coming off a national title. We are waiting for that. Coach Shinnick, one of the best coaches. The whole crew down there. Will Kennedy does an awesome job. We love some UWF football around here now. But they can't tell us. Nobody can right now. And even if UWF had the resources and the people and the area and it all figured out at Wahoo Stadium, the Gulf South Conference might not say that. Same thing with minor league baseball. The Blue Wahoos, with the way Quint Studer, Jonathan, the whole entire family, Quentin Rishi, the whole entire group, Bubba now, Derek Brooks, the way that they've been able to figure it out down there, they took a huge hit this year, but they could have figured out baseball season this year. Minor league baseball in general could not because of the amount of money that was getting lost and not being able to recover for those owners. Also, teams that already had low attendance, that were already on the cusp of shutting down, like Mobile down the road for the Bay Bears on 65, they wouldn't have been able to survive when most teams weren't already before COVID even. So there wasn't much. For those businesses out there that were already on the brink, already taking a hit every month, going into savings to provide for their families, they're closed. They're not coming back now because that was that last tipping point. It was the guy like Chris Davis that's batting. You paid him $50 million in baseball, but he's hitting 150, and you're sick of him hitting 150. And eventually you got to send down that guy that you paid more than most of your roster down to the minors. Sometimes it's tough, but there are some of those businesses that were big enough to hold on, and they'll be okay. They'll survive this. They figured out a game plan. It's not just Ma and Pa where you have to sit down in a room and you have to make tough decisions, but Ma and Pa also have to run the store. Got to figure it out. Got to keep the lights on. Tom Bodett. So college football, though, on the same day, we can read a story. It says Texas wants 50% fans, and on the same day, league saying we're not expected to play. And that's the toughest part of college football is we got to accept without a true commissioner and a president that doesn't want to touch it with a 50-foot pole, take his money and run. If you could tell, I'm not a big Emmert fan. If you are, I'd like to sit down and go to one of those like Tony Robbins sessions on why you are, because I'd love to be enlightened. I feel like usually got a pretty good grasp on things. You don't have to agree with my opinion, but I do educate myself. I do a lot of the research, and I'm good with numbers to a point. And at this point I can understand that NCAA has profited for a very long time. So if you're one of the presidents of a school, you should like them. But right now, if you're a sports fan looking for leadership in a spot where you are looking for somebody to make decisions that can make decisions, he's done a terrible job. And the commissioners haven't given us a lot. But once again, half the commissioners have said they don't think they're playing, and half the commissioners have said we're looking good, we're starting to trend the right way, but they haven't given us anything. Big Ten and Pac-12, we're playing conference only. Other conferences, Ivy League, which is not within the major Power Five, they're not playing at all. But the other conferences have decided they are. They're going to wait. They're going to hold off. They're waiting for better news. Even though I hope everybody knows by now, whether it's today or a week, this thing's going to be around. People are still going to be wearing masks, and there's going to be many people reporting whatever the heck they want to report these days because journalism seems to be screwed. When we come back, we're going to get to more on what's going on from a busy weekend, including Jon Rahm, #1 golfer in the world now. How about that? Half you probably didn't even know who he was, from Spain. Now the #1 golfer after winning, even after getting assessed 2 shots he didn't know he even had to give up. We're coming back for more. It's the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
JP here with Talk Football and the Sports Drive. At ESPN Pensacola, we're hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion and NFL Hall of Famer Derek Brooks.
The Super Bowl, and they're trying to win it for us. 3rd down, 18. Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon, throws up the middle. It's intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25, 20. Derek Brooks all the way.
This is former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Washington High School alum, Derek Brooks. You listen to ESPN Pensacola.
For your ridiculous facts, I'm JP. The New Orleans Saints once employed a voodoo priestess to remove a curse from the Superdome after failing to win a playoff game for over 33 years. And by 1978, nachos were catching on in popularity in Texas, but they hadn't made it far beyond the Lone Star State. While trying to fill time during a Cowboys game, Howard Cosell talked up the new snack brought up to the broadcasting booth. After that, the craze spread to stadiums all over the country. We all owe Mr. Cosell a thank you for that. That's your ridiculous facts. I'm JP.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly! Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Over the last few months, we've realized that those excuses of not doing yard work, you've had to pay up. No excuses to get fat eating a bunch of rancid chicken wings and 3 pitchers because it's football Sunday. Tired of trying to pronounce names overseas at 4 a.m. that we don't know in Korea in baseball. But sports is coming back, and we're optimistic to carry all the biggest games on the Sports Drive, 5 to 7 each every night on ESPN Pensacola. Thank God all of this didn't happen during college football season.
We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back. Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola. 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I didn't pick that song. It just played, by the way. Yeah, sure you did. Sure you did. I didn't. It was just ESPN right now talking about fan desire for sports. How about this right now? Has increased despite the pandemic. This is one of these studies. That was the most silent I've been, by the way, in probably 2.5 years while I'm on sports radio. But ESPN had to do a study to let us know that fans' desire for the return of sports has increased despite the pandemic. The way that's worded is like this should shock people. You think fans that are watching this show or listening to this show right now, I'm 35 years. You think because of a couple months of what was happening around us and not having anything that we were just going to give up on sports? Just go back. Yep. Guess we're going to, when sports comes back, let's go back to seeing is Tiger King 2 out? I hope Ozark's coming out with a new season. Let's do this. I don't know. Law & Order still on right now? Like, are you serious right now? I'm so tired of watching half the crap I do right now at night. Some of the stuff out there on Netflix and some of the other shows where I'm sitting there watching a comedy or a South Park I've seen 100 times or watching one of these movies that we've seen forever. Now, it's been great for family time. I'm not going to lie. On the weekends, we're doing like park trips with the family. Got to go out red snapper fishing this week down at my uncle's place in St. George Island. That was a blast down in the plantation. Caught some red snapper, and I'm glad he let us know that those amberjacks weren't in season. So there you go. But overall, you just got to know, though, that you probably have enjoyed more things that sometimes, whether sports fans admit it or not, this is the trust tree, the nest, the part of the show Will Ferrell said about. Was that an Olive Garden? We know, though, right now that a lot of people and families, they feel bad or they want to spend more time or they want to be at every game or be at the Cousins Little League game. But then Auburn, Alabama's on at 2:30 with Gary and Brad, and you're going to watch college football. Now, during college football season and football season in general, there's a lot of Saturdays and Sundays where things don't get done around the house. Not everybody's Tim the Toolman Taylor, and we understand that. There's that part of us. There's that guilt, like, man, I know I have to cut the lawn, but I just set my fantasy roster. My team is on. They're playing their rival. I got 2 Huskies on this game. And all those people are like, yeah, sounds like a football Sunday. But you think all that was going to go away because of a couple months? You're out of your mind. This, to me, is obvious. They said an overwhelming majority of sports fans polled by ESPN say they support the return of professional and collegiate sports, even if fans will not be in attendance due to ongoing pandemic. Okay. So someone would really look at me and say, you'd rather have no sports after what we've gone through than sports without fans if we had to pick it? Come on now. Unless you're one of those season ticket holders that's going for a record, like that one dude in USC that had been, I think it was 19 straight years he never missed a home or road game in his life. I think I'm shorting him like 30 years, too. This guy did this for his entire life. But unless you're going for one of those records and you can't get into the stadium now, then everybody should choose sports without fans before no sports. And football season hasn't come around. I got that annoying promo I got to change out of the cart that says, thank God this didn't happen during football season. I know I got to change it. But when it comes down to just getting to it. I'm working from home now and come back. It's mind-boggling to me that people, that there would actually be a huge group of people like, nope, don't want sports if there's no. Half the time, what do you do anyway? You come home from work and you turn on the tube and you watch your game. You set your roster. Might be setting your FanDuel roster for the NBA. You might bet on the game. You put a parlay. You might just watch it because it's your team, and that's fandom, as a lot of us do. And not once during one of these games has somebody looked up and been like, wonder who's in 30A today, 30 row. Yeah. Who's in 246B? Now, it's not the same, obviously. I watched that Cubs and White Sox game yesterday, and it was weird watching Wrigley Stadium. First off, a night game with no fans. You're used to seeing Take Me Out to the ball game, and Wrigley's one of those kind of places. People drinking beer in the bleachers, and they will still have the bleachers in the outfield. Those could be some prime tickets. You want to talk about some hot? Actually, I'm onto something. I might start looking at some real estate. Those rooms right now. I'm sure somebody else has figured this out in Chicago, but might want to look on it. I'm giving somebody some advice. If you get this done, remember who told you. You don't have to, but this is like the Good Samaritan Act. If you find a room like this, because I don't have the time and I've already cat's out of the bag now, but get one of those rooms that's in the hotels or any of the condos across the street from Wrigley, and you could probably get a hot ticket for it right now because people sitting out there for those, they'll pay a lot in Chicago. Now, with this all being said, I'm almost guaranteed, just like trying to find a hotel 2 days out from the regular Blue Angels season, not this year, you're probably going to be out of luck. Probably going to be out of luck. Even 2 months in advance, you're probably going to be out of luck. That's a hot topic, though. Right now, start Googling every single sporting event that has high-risers that overlook the stadium. That's a hot ticket right there, I'm telling you. Could be a business. You'd be a millionaire by the season end. I saw a guy post yesterday. His picture's out. He has a room over at a hotel that overlooks Petco Park in San Diego. How about that? Even that's a hot ticket. But he's like, we might have fans, but I'm watching the game. He's getting like calls from his cousins and uncles he didn't even know he had. Hey, Richie! Who's this? Uncle Bruce. We're not really related, but you call me uncle down there? Oh, yeah. You're that guy. Sometimes anything that's taken away from you for a while, you want more within the law. Now, I don't want to use that as if you're going to AA meetings, don't be like, I want it more. It does. That's going through rehab for a reason, but don't take that advice. Like, we don't need to pull that. But overall, to me, this is obvious. Because I would love to know the 22% that didn't want to see sports come back if they had to pick between no sports and sports without fans. And all of this being said, I'd like to see sports come back with fans, but that's just not a reality at everywhere. Maybe in University of Texas with 50% and hook 'em horns. We're coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Locally owned Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Tadalafil, the FDA-approved generic for Cialis, is now here, and the cost savings are huge. Save 80% on the 20-milligram tablets, 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy, 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, and cash in on the savings today.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion, and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19.
You can watch Chad on the Sports Drive live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each every day on Blab TV. Chad Brillante with you here. JP heading off to a game, and always appreciate listening to him, doing a great job on Talk Football with Coach K as well, with the former NFL coach each and every weekday from noon to 1. Reminder, we do have a number of games coming up here on ESPN Pensacola that you can tune into. Major League Baseball this Sunday, Braves versus the Mets. Braves got a really solid roster this year when it comes to the offense. And remember, usually by now we've educated ourselves with most of the guys on the team because we'd already be at the Midsummer Classic. But there are going to be a lot of changes. Even watching that game last night, I'm watching the Cubs game, and you got Josh Fegley out there catching, making plays. Even your manager, David Ross, who's a Cub. They love him there. Like him as a Sox, too. Then you got other guys that weren't with the roster before. Everywhere you look, there's new Edwin Encarnacion out there hitting home runs for the White Sox. I mean, a lot of these teams are going to look completely different, and we just start educating if you're a baseball fan now. Some of you given up on baseball, whatever you want to do. Got the Braves versus Mets, but the Braves got a good roster. With right now, Acuna, Yasiel Puig's he's going to get his hits. He's still got a power bat. He can take you deep on any swing. And it's a home run hitter park. That's been proven. Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Josh Donaldson, remember, is now in Minnesota. And it's going to be about that rotation. Are they going to be able to be consistent? That's going to be the tough question. They've got a bunch of guys. They're like the kids in school that you know they're pretty smart, but they're not valedictorian level. They're all like getting 89s and 88s on tests, like Julio Teheran and these guys like Dallas Keuchel. They're solid, but they're not going to be. You're not getting Garrett Cole to Steven Strasburg to guys like that. Some of these teams that are there, there's a reason they're there. It's the same thing with the Yankees. Yankees, that murderer's row right there of guys. Giancarlo Stanton went deep yesterday. Gary Sanchez. So did Aaron Judge. Everybody in that lineup. Luke Voigt looks like some kind of kid supervillain that takes everybody deep. Rolled up sleeves. He's got like the buttons down even more than me, but he's actually got a chest. And you got people out there that can take you deep on a pitch. That lineup is going to be insane. The Yankees have a lineup right now where the guys off the bench are guys that are deserving 3 and 4 hitters on other teams. No more Didi, our former Blue Wahoo, is now a Philadelphia Philly. But baseball is coming back, which is good. And the Braves got a pretty solid roster. And they know Acuna could be a MVP-type guy. A lot of these older players like Freddie Freeman have a chance to rest. Nick Markakis won't play. He's going to take this year off, which is fine. Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, Sunday will come up at 5 p.m. Then Thursday, we got the Clippers and Lakers in basketball when they start on the 30th. 31st, the Rockets and Mavs. And then going into August, the Red Sox Yankees will be on. Boston Celtics versus Toronto Raptors. Milwaukee Bucks versus Dallas Mavericks. Chicago Cubs versus the St. Louis Cardinals. And then on August 12th, the LA Clippers and Denver Nuggets. I've been doing radio shows for about 14 years now, and I've never, because it's just not good radio if somebody just reads a list. By this time, you can, like, Google things, just give you a whole list of things that's going on. Here, what I will tell you, though, is I enjoyed reading that list, and I hope people enjoyed hearing it. And the reason for that is because it actually is the first time in 4.5 months where I've got to sit here and read you things that matter for the season that are actually going to be on our network and we get to follow. Like, I'll be sitting in my car after, go to, like, Mr. Pollo. Love that place, by the way. Incredible chicken. And I saw Eduardo today. He's got one of the food trucks opening at the new garden place down there. Task and I were down there. Great place. Looks awesome. But I'm sitting there, and I realize I'm going to pick up some dinner, and I'll probably sit in my car listening to these games because I'm just going to be so enthralled with sports being back. Braves-Mets, pretty solid right out of there. So the Mets have been saying for 25 years. And then Bobby Bonilla Day comes around, and yep. When we come back, we'll talk some more on what's going on at Texas, University of Texas, talking about they want to play at 50% capacity. Other leagues saying they can't get anything in. John Rahm. Now, Rahm is #1 in the world after a $1.7 million payday, but took a 2-stroke penalty afterwards because a camera zoomed in and saw a blade of grass moving around the ball as he was behind it. Wasn't even a bunker shot. Still moved a little, got assessed 2 shots, still won by 3. That's when you know it's a mic drop moment where they can assess you 2 shots and you go, didn't take a penny out of my pocket, still won the tournament by 3. Still #1 in the world. Beat Ryan Palmer by 3. We're coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Welcome to Bow! Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Hurricane season is upon us, and although we aim to bring you the latest news in sports, we're committed to bringing the Pensacola community the latest updates and information during the 2020 hurricane season. In collaboration with our sister stations, News Radio 92.3 AM 1620 and Cat Country 98.7, stay up to date with breaking weather news and updates on the biggest storms impacting Northwest Florida by checking our Facebook pages at Cat Country 98.7, News Radio 92.3, and ESPN Pensacola.
Here are the ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM contest rules. You can win 1 prize per household per contest in any 30-day period, unless specified by individual contest rules. All prizes are non-transferable, non-redeemable for cash, or exchangeable for any other contest prize. Prizes must be redeemed within a 30-day period of winning and must be 18 years of age or older to win. For a complete list of rules, visit ESPNpensacola.com.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
This is Northwest Florida's all sports, all the time station. From Destin to New Orleans, sports fans come here for ESPN and local sports talk. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Strip, it's all insane. You ain't never gonna be the same. Living life through the night, thin line of a lightning strike. Sometimes the only light when the moon is tucked away, pistons pumping, minds are racing. It's hard to sleep.
And welcome back, Sports Drive. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. 6:55 on this Monday. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. I did. Got to go red snapper fishing out there. Caught the limit 8. I didn't personally. I was on a boat with better fishermen than me. But got to go out there, catch some fish, and enjoy some time out in the sun. Drank a couple cold ones, and then getting back to reality. It was out there, St. George, Apalachicola Bay. It's beautiful out there. Bob Sykes Cut. That was, good time out there. But back to Monday work zone about talking about sports with no sports right now. But they're coming back. We got baseball. We've got basketball now coming back in a week. So it's getting exciting. And then NFL and the players agreed today on daily COVID testing for the first 2 weeks of training camp. So that's good to know. It's good to know at this point that, we were able to get somewhere at this point. According to the memo attained by ESPN, the NFL and the NFL Players Association will require daily COVID-19 testing for the first 2 weeks of training camp. After 2 weeks, if the positive test rate is below 5%, the league would scale back to test every other day. Now, it's a little bit different. Remember, for basketball, you're around these players, so they've got a bubble. And they also have a situation where you only have a 12-man roster, sometimes as a backup plan, maybe 13, 14 with you there. And then, because there's no D-League games going on. And then what you have is you got your coaching staff. So at the most, in your inner circle, you've got about 25 people that you've got to maintain. When it comes to the NFL, remember, it's not just the 53-man roster right now. You got all the other players that haven't been cut or sent to the practice squad. So you might have 80, 90 guys out there, plus an entire staff of coaches, plus all the trainers, which is more than basketball, plus everybody that has to do with an NFL staff. You're talking about 100 plus. So you're talking about 5 times as much. And when you average out those teams, you start doing that math real quick, 5 times as many is a lot. A lot more people to test. And remember, they're going outside the bubble. They're not being quarantined. So they can go out still and do those things, which, frankly, when I'm saying all of this, it would make more sense that they test all the time. Because the other guys, you would expect accountability for them not to be able to do that. But in this case, a little bit different. I'm shocked sometimes when I'm reading these stories, and it's like they're fighting. Why would anybody at this point be fighting? I know it costs money for this, but get over the pettiness, NFL, and just do the right thing. If your player is going to be safe over it, then do it. The amount of money that is going to be generated and the things that people, because you're going to still make a ton of cash. People are going to watch NFL football games. And in the NFL, you're not going to actually, I think that you'll be able to watch an NFL game and be able to still watch it a little bit differently than watching a game on your couch in baseball or basketball that looks like a pickup game. Because remember, most of us, not everybody, but most people on Saturdays or Sundays, they go out with a group of people to a bar or restaurant, that tailgate, that alumni party, and most of the time, unless it's their alumni club, you're going to be watching 8 or 9 screens, usually on mute, and then the big game on the TV with the announcers. So a lot of people are used to watching with no sound or not really caring how loud the crowd noise is, just wanting football. But test the players. This pettiness right now between the NFL and the players, not the players as much. I'm on the side here. I'm not always on the side of the players, but on this one, they wanted to be safe knowing that they were coming back because also some of these people at their age, they've got pregnant wives. They live with their families. Remember, these are 22, 23-year-olds going back. So they want to know, even if they're asymptomatic, so test them. Just keep them safe. Give them an opportunity. They're playing for you. They're the ones making the millions of dollars. God bless.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, Sports Call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Radio Sports Center. I'm Kevin Winter. The first answer is finally. The first question is really, why did it take so long? The NFL and the Players Association today finally agreed on a testing protocol for COVID-19 for when training camps are set to open up. By the way, they open up on the 28th. It's not very far off. Question is, why did it take this long? ESPN's Dan Graziano.
I actually asked an owner last week, what is the reason not to do daily testing? And his answer was, it's not. Their medical people are saying it's not necessary. That can actually lead to a false sense of security, and they are conscious of not wanting to take up too high a percentage of the testing resources in a given market.
You heard Dan mention daily testing. That's the agreement. There will be daily testing for 2 weeks, and as long as the positivity rate stays below 5% for each team, then it will go to every other day. But if the positivity rate is above 5%, testing continues on a daily basis. Also, should be noted, a player needs 2 straight days of negative tests before they can even enter the facility. Part of all this today was also regarding preseason games and the negotiation process. The NFL had already said, we'll play 2 preseason games. The players had wanted 0. Well, today the league offered the players 0 preseason games, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Question is, what do they want in return? To the owners. Usually the answer is money. The NBA announced the bubble right now is working in Orlando. Out of the 346 players who are in the bubble, none have been able to test positive for the coronavirus since July 13th.
Coming up Tuesday on Golic and Wingo, did the NFL hear the players? The NBA is inching closer to games. And do the Blue Jays have a home yet? Golic and Wingo, Tuesday, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Company on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Welcome back to Spain and Company. Happy Monday. Sarah Spain, Jordan Cornette hanging out with you on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Spent a little time on Around the Horn today buying or selling Dwight Howard, and I think it was quite clear that I was ready to sell just about everything coming from the Lakers center out of the bubble. Other than the fact that he wants to talk social issues, wants to make sure we don't forget about Breonna Taylor, wants to make sure we're not talking about the wrong things. But unfortunately, Jordan, if you are a multi-time all-star on a team that is potentially going to contend for the title, and you spend a whole bunch of time not wearing a mask, making videos where you're not wearing a mask, making light of the virus and how it spread, talking about how you're anti-vax, then we're not going to talk about Breonna Taylor, and we're not going to talk about social issues because we're too busy trying to figure out whether you're a danger to the people around you in the bubble. If you really care about us focusing on, quote-unquote, the real issues, Dwight Howard, then you would follow the protocol that's been outlined by the experts so that you and your teammates and everybody else can restart and finish the season, make the millions of dollars that you otherwise could lose, and everybody stays healthy and safe, and so do their family members. Instead, he thinks it's a joke. He thinks the rules don't apply to him. And Jordan, I think if there is any sort of, and if there isn't, some sort of set of guidelines for how many strikes you get for violating the rules within the bubble, then you should absolutely be removed. And if I were LeBron James and Dwight Howard's teammates, he would be getting a lecture from me on that.
I mean, masks have become the new pants, right? Like, if you go out and you go somewhere and you want to go into a public place, you got to wear pants, right? Or you're not allowed in.
We all accept that rule.
If you go into a public place, you got to wear your mask. And furthermore, if we were going on campus at Bristol to ESPN, we'd be mandated to wear a mask. And, you know, if we didn't wear that mask, we'd be sent home. That's just how that would work. So to me, Dwight Howard can puff his chest, be as loud as he wants, saying this stuff. but he will be sent home. And that's just as easy as it comes here. Like, they just had 346 people tested, Sarah, and none of them tested positive. They're not going to run the risk of Dwight Howard scoffing at what's going on here. It's because of how tightly this thing is run that this is happening. And I'll go further to say this. Let me tell you, Sarah, and I know you'll agree with me on this. Men are not complicated creatures. We're very basic. We need regiment. We need to have stuff to do so we don't let our mind wander and say dumb-ish like this on social media. He's holed up in a place. He's not used to his normal life. He's starting to pop off with some stuff that he shouldn't be talking about because it doesn't make sense. And I think we're going to see a lot of this coming out of quarantine. Guys have got too much time on their hands they're not used to having because they're used to be on some sort of schedule and normalcy in life and family members around. They don't have that. So now they're just going to get on social media, and we all know when you use social media as your platform to just run your mouth without really thinking about what you want to say, you say dumb stuff. Dwight Howard is the perfect example in this moment.
Yeah, and listen, if you want to just say he's a goofball and he's just being funny, he's being silly, like he's faking this authoritative tone, make sure you keep your distance, and that it never actually manifests in his actions outside of the couple times that he's already been caught and people have already called the hotline on him, okay, then prove to me that he is able to follow the precautions with his actions. Because probably, no, they wouldn't be able to kick him out of the bubble for saying he doesn't believe in vaccinations and for making fun of the rules. But they could with his actions if he provides an unsafe environment for everybody. And all we've said this whole time, Jordan, is how all of these returns to sports are the ultimate exercise in trust. You are only as strong as your weakest part. And if Dwight Howard is not taking it seriously, if anyone isn't taking it seriously, that's how it all blows up. And he might be saying, listen, we're all getting tested every day and we're all good, so that means you can't get it then. That relies on nobody leaving. And we've already had multiple people break the rules, whether intentionally or otherwise. It's going to be a long exercise here. You're going to be in there for a while. And if you just assume that everybody's following the rules, that could be a recipe for disaster.
I just don't understand how Dwight Howard is one of the guys who's talking about, I don't know if it's right to be down here playing, and we need to keep the message about the movement strong and in the spotlight. And you mentioned this a moment ago, Sarah, like when you start talking about this, you get away from it. You're becoming the distraction to what you should be talking about. But even more so, John Lewis, an American legend, passed away the other day. Why not Dwight Howard when you're talking about educating and pushing a message? Why aren't you doing your Instagram Lives with that time down there to educate people on who John Lewis was? Because